Hello, everybody, wherever you may be from coast to coast and sea to shine and sea. Welcome to your weather update today. My name is Larry. My call sign in amateur radio is Kilo 7 Hotel November. Solar forecasting for today and through the weekend here. So hopefully some help for you on VHF, UHF, and the HF bands as it relates to solar weather. First of all, let's take a look at the VHF, UHF side. Northern Hemisphere, if we're up towards New England and the entire east coast of North America, you see a little bit of tropospheric ducting there going south out of Nova Scotia, a little bit also east and west of Florida. The southwest coast has, again, some good tropospheric ducting, just not going very far. If we look closer at that, you're not seeing it go very far out into the Caribbean, but you are seeing a little tropospheric ducting, especially out in the outer islands there in the Caribbean. Some great opportunity to work some DX on UHF and VHF if you're in the Caribbean. West coast of the United States, kind of changing a little bit. We've got some tropospheric duct coming from the northern part of Vancouver Island in BC, going onto the Washington state coast, and then towards the central Oregon coast, going all the way south, almost to San Francisco. So some good VHF, UHF tropospheric ducting happening in those areas. Towards Hawaii, right around Maui, the island of Maui, you're seeing some tropospheric duct going towards the southwest, but also a connection there between the Big Island and Molokai and possibly up to Oahu today on some tropospheric ducting on VHF and UHF. Heading towards Europe, well, this is what it looks like. If you're heading towards France, or around Normandy, you've got a little bit of tropospheric ducting heading due south from there. Really, most of the activity in Europe is in the Mediterranean Sea, little to the northern edge of Ireland as well, heading out to the Atlantic. And you can see some coming off of Iceland as well as just off the Swedish coast. Going down into the European continent itself, that's where you see the big tropospheric ducting. Tropoducting really big. Southern Spain, southern France, going into Italy. These are great areas. And look, they connect even into Angola in Africa. I mean, geez, Angola's being reached as well as people in Morocco. So some good tropospheric ducting happening all throughout the Mediterranean Sea today to work VHF, UHF. Heading towards Australia, well, the northern part of Australia, some amazing tropospheric ducting area around Darwin. If you're heading up into Indonesia, some tropospheric ducting definitely heading your way. Tasmania is looking like we got some good conditions heading north. If you're wanting to try and contact people in Melbourne on VHF, UHF, that's some pretty good conditions right now in Australia. Just barely off of Brisbane, there is also a large area of tropospheric ducting that could impact that area. Finally, South Africa, if you head down towards the island of Madagascar, you're going also, it's kind of cool, you're going into two countries right there from Madagascar. You're going into the country of Mozambique and Tanzania right now. From the west coast of Africa, near Namibia and South Africa, and also, even if you head north in Angola, some fantastic tropospheric ducting going out over the Atlantic Ocean. So some good VHF, UHF conditions in these parts of the world today. Thank you so much to the Hepburn, Dr. Hepburn, and he does such a great job with these maps. You can find him at DX Center, and that's spelled in like it would be in Canada or in Europe, dxinfocenter.com. Good place to find out about tropospheric ducting. On the HF side, here's your A1A. The A1A looking pretty good, except most of this is not sunspots. That's the problem. Taking a look at just the little part of the backside of the sun, you see that squared area to the left. That's off the east limb of the sun. So looking at just a little bit of the backside of the sun, there is a new sunspot region hopefully forming there about 10 o'clock. Last 5 days of the sunspot activity, so peeling away all the brightness of the sun and simply looking at the sunspot movements. That's where we're at and leaving us today. By the way, I will have an extended forecast for this show during CQ Worldwide next week. So we're going to look ahead a week and tell you why I think the SFIs and hopefully noise floors will be where they will be for CQ Worldwide sideband starting on Saturday of next week. Coronal hole map 34 facing Earth, and there's a solar plague right next to it. It's elevated our solar wind a little bit. Hasn't affected our A index yet, so that's good. Solar flare detection last 3 days. I think we still get one more bump in SFI today based on solar activity, but I don't think it's going to be a big one. Maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4, maybe up to 5 or so up on the SFI. Current SFI did jump like we thought it would yesterday, only by a little bit. It's at 116. Sunspot number is down to 33. Your area number is at 100. That's down 130. KP index, just your noise floors. Quiet conditions, and I think this continues through the weekend. S0 to S2 noise floors for some really good DX. Here's the look at the next 3 days. It should be pretty stable for our noise floors. QRZ conditions, SFI 116, sunspot number 44, A index is 7, and K index is 0. That's very inactive. Look at that signal to noise level. S0 to S1. 6 meter E-skip is open right now, as well as fair conditions for moon bouncers. Let's take a look at earlier conditions on maximum usable frequencies just to give you an idea of how far north 10 meters is going in the world right now. Earlier today, this was the way that the map looked. This was at 1630 UTC. Take a look at the large numbers in Europe, especially Great Britain and France, Germany. They're big. Let's get a closer look here. If you go into Europe, at that point, this 1630, this is before sunset, Great Britain was already on 10 meters at 29 megahertz. France was at 31, Spain 31, Portugal 30. The southern part of Italy still at 33. In the dark in Germany, still 27 megahertz. North, way up in Sweden and Norway, 18 megahertz and 17. So great conditions. As we head down into the southern Atlantic, look at just a 10-meter pipeline from Africa to South America. Just phenomenal conditions. Nothing under 30 megahertz here, which is really showing how good conditions could be for for CQ Worldwide next week. Oh my gosh. In the north, great pipeline. And if you find about 1630 and you're in Europe, this is a great time to work North America on 10 meters. Most of North America at this point was on 10, except for the northern part of the northwest area here in the States. So around Montana, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, not quite on 10, but on 12 at this point. And definitely those numbers will continue to head up, meaning north towards Canada. I think you're going to get definitely 10 meters, Saskatchewan, Yukon, possibly even in Northwest Territories today. It'll just miss the state of Alaska, but still some amazing MUFs this week. Looking at farther look at the current map, you can see that Spain is still holding out at 35 megahertz, 27 near France, 23 Great Britain, 20 in Germany, and then as we head south in Europe, you've got 20 in Italy, 19 in Greece, 17 in southern Bulgaria. Just some really good conditions in the dark there for you here in Europe right now. In the North American continent, there is that 10-meter line just about the U.S.-Canadian border. Above that is 12 meters for the folks in the mid to southern part of Canada, 10 meters throughout North America. South, that would be the United States. So 28 Great Lakes, 36 in Denver, 35 all the way in Brownsville, Texas, 29 Pensacola, 32 Washington, D.C., 32 as well if you're in New England. Just some amazing conditions to work your amateur radio bands. Now let's talk a week ahead. CQ Worldwide SSB joins up here next Saturday, all right? So let's take a look at solar conditions the way they have been about a week ago. We're going to go through a week's worth of information, and I'll tell you what my forecast looks like for next weekend CQ Worldwide, and it's going to be good, very, very good. First of all, on October 17th, this was the way the magnetosphere view of the sun looked. We had plenty of sunspots at that point, but take a look where they're at. On the northern hemisphere, all right, of the sun, same with the south, the sunspots move faster than they do in the center part of the sun. These are areas north and south. So these sunspots, as they rotate, if they continue to stay intact on the backside of the sun and come forward, it's about a week out that they'll be back. So here is where we're at in the 17th. We jump then to the 19th. You can see again, they're in the north and they're in the south. Then we go to the 20th. They're north and south. We're not seeing any center of the sun sunspots at that point. Going just to today, again, all these sunspots on the southern flank of the sun. The SFIs, the way they were here, 126 on October 18th. So that was a good number, higher than we're at today. If we go to the map as well, way back 1 week ago, so this is on the 14th of October, look at the sunspots, 3121. Then we had a big area of 3119, 3112, 3116, 3118, which gave us an SFI of 130 at that point. These sunspots are coming around now. I believe a few of those are going to certainly survive, and we're close to getting those coming back this weekend. I think the conditions here, more around the 19th and the 20th, are what we're going to have during CQ Worldwide. So I expect your SFIs for CQ Worldwide to be somewhere between 125 and 140. Those are excellent conditions. Noise floors S0 to S3. Now, it's a big number range, I know, but we're also talking a week and 1 day out. So expect your SFIs based on the sun's forecasting the last week and a half. They should be 125 to 140. That's bigger than last year. So great conditions on 20, 17, 15, 12 in the 10-meter band worldwide, and great conditions as well on 40, 80, and 160 overnight. So some wonderful conditions are coming, I think, for CQ Worldwide. All right, we'll do the full ham radio live show in just a little bit. Thanks for watching this weather segment. Turn your radio on. Enjoy it today. It's a beautiful day to work DX. God bless you, and goodbye, everybody.